And we are back for the second hour of the Long Voyage. And, well, we are still dealing with a fight where our erstwhile heroes have so far killed half of the bad guys they're up against. Despite having some really rotten luck on the rolls for some of them, they've still managed to take down 3 of them with some fairly negligible damage coming the other way. And it is now the bad guys, because we finished it with you lot attacking. So we have one who's still attacking Bagi. We have one at Sindri, and we have one at Ylva. So let's start with the one who's still fighting Bagi and see if he can do anything useful with himself and his time. Yeah, he can actually. He can. He's not actually. He's hit a lot, but he's not done a lot of damage.
Okay, let's see if Baggy can parry.
Yeah.
He can't.
It doesn't really matter because it's a slash.
Okay.
And it's 5 points of damage, and it's on your chest. So
Cool.
yeah. And exactly, these are mooks. They're not, they're just attacking without going for heads or whatever. That's for the heroic guys, or heroes and villains and stuff.
Yep.
I'm guessing they were not the main force on the attack.
No, but even guys like these, they have managed to hit you, and they would be quite efficient against civilians.
Yeah.
They have more training than a civilian running around in the city doing his stuff.
And better equipment. They have weapons, and they do have some armor at least. So.
And they had numbers when they came.
Yes, that's the thing. You guys saw the attack. There were an absolutely huge amount of them. Massive amount of them. So he doesn't do anything. Baggy, your chest armor has earned itself back today. And then we have the one who's fighting Sindri, and I'm going to give him a minus because he's just been hit in the back, even though it didn't do any damage. But that does distract him, so I'm going to give him a penalty when he tries to hit Sindri. Not that big of a penalty, unfortunately, for you.
No, he still manages to hit.
Yeah, he does.
I'll try blocking.
Yep, you can do that.
Okay. Here we are, block.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you bring up your shield as you bow down to pick up your mace.
It's a smooth, slow motion movement.
Exactly. You bring up your shield. Down comes his axe, and it just the weapon just bounces off on, or I can't remember if it was a sword or an axe he had. Doesn't matter, but it bounces off the shield. And
yeah. I think the guy will be treated, also if picturing it in slow motion, will be treated to Sindri's face coming over the shield looking absolutely gleefully psychotic.
Yes. I have to roll some damage for him, though.
Yeah, of course.
Because your shield... and your shield has a DR of how much?
A DR of, I believe, it was... Did we say it was... Yeah, 7.
Okay. In that case, why bother? He can't actually do enough to actually damage the damn thing.
Yeah, just this big grin full of all teeth and no warmth.
Indeed. You are... Let's see. That takes care of that one. And then we have one left who's fighting Ylva, and... Yeah, he hits. Want to block? I'm rolling amazingly well on my hit rolls.
Yeah. I don't roll that amazingly well.
No, let's see. Nah, neither is he. I'm rolling really well on my hit and really badly on my damage, so...
I'd rather have it like that.
So basically, she parries, he turns it just the last second and hits her very, very, very weakly.
Yeah, it's basically more like a love tap than anything else. And
hey, I'm a battle maiden. Fuck off.
Well, you are trying to kill him for it, so...
Yeah, but that doesn't invite him to do love tap.
Okay, new round. Baggy, let's see if you can't finish this for him.
Well, first of all, Baggy's response to Ylva's question is, Do I need help? And then he takes a swing.
And he takes a swing.
And I'm not going to make a cold shot this time.
No,
it's
no,
a
just...
regular overlong. Nah.
Nope. Sindri, you pick up your weapon?
Yeah, but can I use it?
Nope. That's a full round. You miss a round for the critical failure.
Fair enough. I pick up my weapon.
You can still defend yourself, but you can't pick it up and hit him.
That's fine. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Picking up weapons and defending myself. Otherwise.
All right, Ylva.
Yeah. Let's kill him.
Oh,
That's a crit.
Nope, it's not. Again,
1, 1, 4.
Yeah, 3 and 4 are crits. 5 is a crit if
As in the total.
the total.
Oh.
It's you roll 3d6. So if you roll 3 or 4 on 3d6, it's a crit. 5 is also a crit if you roll if you have a skill of 15 or above.
Okay, like that.
Yes.
Well, he did anyway.
Oh.
6, 4, 6, 3, 2.
Well, she is built for this specifically, and she's using two-handed
She's not
weapons.
really allowed to do anything else.
Oh my god.
Well,
that is...
he says that
Yeah.
need help. Then Elva says,
So-
"Fine, I'll come help you."
Yeah, it's as he does this as you call it love tap, and you lead the blow away from him. You do a 360 degree turn around yourself, and you bring up the hammer with an underhand blow with the spike first directly up into his chest. You hit him below the rib cage, and you tear his rib cage halfway to pieces. You literally use the force of the blow to crush his rib cage, with the force of the spike. He doesn't even realize that he's been hit before he's dead. It's an instant kill.
Well, while she does that, I think the momentum turns her, so
Yeah.
she can look at the other group. Then she looks at Baggy, and then she looks at Sindri trying to find his weapon, and then goes, "Hey, you! Let's play!" After the guy facing those two.
Okay. This is you can say that in fact he got the point. You are absolutely right.
I do like that we've added another punster.
Yes. Let's get Frothy.
Okay, so you did say that we could see other people fighting.
Yes. Everyone in your group is engaged in one way or another with the fighting.
And while Baggy is kind of slow about it, he seems to have things under control, and Ylva is going to help Sindri. So I might actually just hurl a fireball at someone outside of the combat to help another group.
Yes. Go right ahead. That you can do a roll if you want, or we can just say that you do because it's not something that's directly involved in your own group. Just subtract
I rolled and it worked.
Yep, and subtract the point of fatigue. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, you take down another guy who's basically he's already wounded, but he's suddenly he gets struck in the back by this flaming ball of fire, and his reaction is to scream and drop his weapon and his shield, and he tries to brush the fire off his back. It doesn't work. It catches in his hair, in his clothes, and pretty soon he's flat on his face as well.
Does his opponent look like he was annoyed with having his guy kill stealed or relieved that the combat is over?
He looks fine with it. It's not, it's not he doesn't seem to take this as a contest. He seems to take this as vengeance.
Yes.
And
And this way I don't kill steal from the party.
A good way to stay alive.
Yep. Well, Gylfi, what do you want to do?
Gylfi wants to continue. Like he hit him like, huh. That worked for the last guy.
Yes.
Like, and he tries to shoot the Sindri's opponent again.
Let's see.
Ah.
No. Okay. That. Wait. Why do you only have 10? In your bow skill, is that only 10?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a little higher. You've just been really lucky with hitting it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, no problem. Well, you miss. And let's see what. Okay, we have. We now have 2 left standing, such as it is. One of them is facing Sindri, and one is facing Baggy. Let's start with Baggy. Yep. How the hell do I do this? It's ridiculous.
Yep.
And you try to... Okay, and it doesn't work. Let's see. Okay, Wow, a whole point of damage.
That's better than nothing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Again, it draws
From
a
his
little bit of blood, but he's still perfectly aware that he's in a bad position here. And then there's the one in front of Sindri, who also wants to play. Oh my god, that is
Critical failure.
a critical failure. So now it's his turn to throw his weapon to... Yeah, you take turns throwing your weapons away.
Yes. No, we're doing it wrong. It's like this.
Well, Ilva did just ask him if he wanted to play.
Yeah.
Clearly he...
Then
He didn't.
No, he doesn't. He clearly doesn't. And let's see. Okay. By the way, now that this round is then over, you can also see that the rest of the crew are basically dispatching what little resistance there is left. They are. You guys are fighting some of the last that are still alive, and the man who has basically just disarmed himself, and the one standing in front of Baggy, both. They both understand that this is a lost cause. So the guy who's already without a weapon simply puts up his hands, and the other guy puts he falls to his knee. He's bleeding, and he falls to his knees and puts his weapon and his shield on the ground, and they give up.
Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Does that end? Does that end initiative turns? Or?
It does. It does.
Well, tempting. What? I think you and me, Vargo, have the same mind as to what to do in the situation.
Yes.
I'll let you do your one first.
Well, let's see if we're on the of the same mind, because Baggy plants his axe in the man's face.
Yeah. You don't have
Sindri.
to roll for it. He's defenseless. He's not fighting back. He thinks that you might accept his surrender, and then he looks up and.
Sindri takes the time to first to sort of brush the man with his mace, brush the man's leather skull cap off.
Yeah.
And then actually has the spite to say to him quietly and with some grumpy solemnity, "I accept your surrender," before burying his mace in the man's skull.
Yes. He looks for a moment like... Well, first when you brush it off, he's worried. Then he's, okay. And then at the last split second, he realizes that, no, he's not okay.
Wiping his bloody axe in his cloak, Baggy walks over to Sindri and says, "You do realize that we could have questioned the man before killing him?"
Sindri, without saying a word, looks over at the man that Baggy planted his axe into, looks back at Baggy and raises an eyebrow.
Oh, him? I was just angry,
You're telling me. What? Besides, what answers do we need? What questions do we have beyond what we already know?
I don't know.
Well, then I'm sure that somebody in our merry band of grieving and family deprived crew will be more inclined to common sense than we are. Maybe.
Yes, maybe. Maybe indeed.
And then Sindri actually puts away his weapons and then goes over to Gylfi.
Yes.
Gilfies are just sitting like slumped against, I don't know, wall of some house with bow on the ground. It's like
If his bow's on the ground, then Sindri will pick it up and hold it out to him.
he just like raises his head, looks at Gilfie, looks at Sindri, and just like he doesn't say anything. It's just like he's clearly in like post-combat shock. Like the adrenaline is just like slowly venting out, and he's like,
Yeah.
and he slowly like reaches to the bow, just like very shakily.
Yeah, as he does so, as his hands make contact with the bow, Sindri will also reach out gently and put his hand on the man's shoulder, and just his facial expression doesn't necessarily change, but he's trying his best to sort of be comforting. Just says, "Breathe. You did very well, better than I did. You've earned this victory."
They're
Breathe.
they're dead.
And we're alive. All the better for it.
I never before. I mean, I shot targets. I mean, never.
And why
And
did
he
you...
just. No, he just like tries to just move his head around, like tries to find something to look at, but like.
What you guys see in the background in the meantime, while this is happening, is your captain, Ormer, who's obviously also there, who is he's got a badly wounded man enemy who's down on. He's being held. It's quite weird, really. He's being held down on his knees, and at the same time he's being held up so that he doesn't flop over and bleed out on the ground. And Ormer is he's crouched in front of the man in a way that looks incredibly menacing, even at this distance, and he's talking to this wounded enemy. But you can't hear at this distance what is being said. But from the looks of it, he's questioning him basically.
I would think Gylfi at this point like looks a little bit like thankful at Sindri, but looks past Sindri, like, and he's trying to find Ilva with his eyes, like, because it's like you know, this is like his kind of reality anchor right now in those kind of difficult situations. It's like he just looks around for Ilva.
Well, where is what does Ilva do?
Well, she is currently trying to get brain gut of her warhammer.
Yes.
And she's using the guy's which brains she spread all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, ew, get off my warhammer. Fuck, ew.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yes, well, high strength, two-handed weapons, and a nice selection of advantages, and you get something like what you guys just saw.
So she's basically trying to get brain gunk off the warhammer.
Yes. And well, that's what you see, Gylfi. What that you see her standing over there, cleaning off her weapon.
Like he realizes she obviously now he's like in his mind like, well, obviously she will be safe, like, because Ilva.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like getting his mind back straight, and he's, instead of looking at the corpses of the enemies, he's more looking at the people, like his companions, looking for like wounds and stuff like that. Like looking if anybody is like limping or holding like a particular part. Like basically he's trying to do what he was. He's trying to forget about the battle and go into the healing.
Yeah, Baggy did get hit a couple of times, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baggy did get hit.
Yeah, he's the only one of you, I believe, who's actually bleeding. It's not bad. They're minor wounds, but they're there.
Well, Ilva did
Ilva,
take a
yeah.
2-point.
Oh, that's true.
Thingy.
Ilva did as well.
She probably has a little cut on her cheek or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
She doesn't seem annoyed though.
I think, speaking of Baggy, his mood has lightened considerably now that he has some kind of revenge.
Yeah.
And
He's got a kill to his name for this.
Yeah. And when he spots his captain standing with the prisoner, he lights up and starts walking toward Ormer, saying, "Oh, we do have a prisoner. Excellent." And then he walks over.
As you get to where he is standing, Ormer stands up. He's got a very hard look on his face, a very determined and hard look on his face, and he says, "Well, I have the answers I need. I suppose there will be people coming here to pick up these Cretans, since their ship was damaged and since they couldn't take ours. So eventually the rest of theirs will come and pick them up. I think we need to leave an unmistakable message."
Out of game, Joan, are Blood Eagles a thing? Or something.
There's something similar, but the Blood Eagle isn't used specifically, but there is something similar.
Okay, cool.
It is just like a blood dodo, isn't it?
Very funny. No, he says, "I think what I need is I need two of the trees that were going to be cut into masts, and I need make that 4 of the shorter pieces that were going to be made into oars. Says that timber is stored outside the walls. Go and make sure that it's still there, and if it is, bring me what I need."
Aye, Captain. And Baggy wanders off to check on the wood.
Guilty would probably, looking at a Baggy and seeing that he took his attack, he would probably like just nod at Sindri again and then just take off running after Baggy. Baggy.
What is it, Gulfi?
Are you okay? Do you need like touching? Are you bleeding anywhere?
Are you blind, man? Of course I'm bleeding.
Oh. Sit for a moment. Let me help you with this.
Minor cuts and bruises. Nothing to worry about.
I know minor cuts, but goddamn, like we let it fester. If we let it fester, you will lose a leg. Sit down.
If I sit down, will you stop pestering me?
If I do my job, then yes.
Baggy sits down then.
Yeah, he'll
Wise
try to.
choice.
Yeah, he will grab some like he has like a piece of you see like he has a piece of like slightly going like molding bread, and like he finds some spider webs. He like mushes it both together. Like he finds where you have cuts, and he like tries to apply it, and he applies it and like uses like some linen or whatever material bandages to wrap you up.
Exactly.
Do you
It
want me
smells
to roll,
badly,
like,
but it works.
yeah? Do you want me to roll fish
No,
state?
no. The way this is the good thing is that in GURPS, there's specifically a rule that says you should only make people roll when there is a legitimate chance of failure, and that failure will have some kind of consequence. You have all the time in the world to do this, and you know how to do it. So you apply your first aid ability, and that will help Baggy heal this quicker.
Cool.
Yeah, he patches you up like. Yeah. And he looks like much more like he's far less shaking. He's like much more confident while he's doing this than what he was doing any other thing.
Yeah. Well,
I think
it only takes maybe 5 minutes or something, and then you have some. And Baggy, you've been bandaged before, obviously. These are pretty well done. He knows what he's doing.
Cool. I think at some point while Goofy is doing the bandaging, I think Baggy says to him, "You did well today. You fought well."
He probably just smiles slightly and just like shakes it, like looks for a like glances at him for a moment, shakes his head like like in this.
Oh God, he's this guy. All right. Are you
Can't do anything but feel kind of sad for him.
But he's clearly like repressing what was happening beforehand. It's just like.
Incidentally, when you get this done, you can go and find the timbers. You can't carry a mast between the two of you; it's too heavy. But you can get the oars, and the timbers are in fact still there.
Okay. Well, then Baggy will return to Captain Omer and report as much.
Yeah, of course. But in the meantime, while you guys do that, is anybody else doing anything in particular?
Yes. Unless ordered to do something else, I think Frodi would seek out where he lived before.
Yes, and well, it is as you would expect. It is like all the other buildings in the compound. It has been destroyed. In fact, it has burnt down almost completely. There was a large quantity of charcoal, obviously, next to the house, and clearly that caught fire. And while that is still burning, because that doesn't burn out in that short a time, but it has also meant that any buildings in the immediate vicinity got caught up. Any small puff of wind would have carried burning dust everywhere, and it means that your home is cinders. There's basically nothing left.
Has it burned out aside from the
charcoal? Yes, it has. Well, it's burned out enough that you can make your way into the ruin.
In that case, I think Frodi will spend some time rummaging around the ashes with the tip of his boot, just to see if he can find anything that didn't burn.
Let me see. You can find a couple of like trinkets, maybe there's a little tallow oil lamp made from clay. It's burnt clay or baked clay. It's nothing special, but it's something that's it is something from home.
Yes, and it hasn't cracked or anything.
It hasn't cracked. You also, as you move through the building, at one point you have to shift some stuff out of the way because it looks like a part of the roof basically collapsed. there might have been something under there. And as you move that aside, you find the remnants of your family. They've all huddled in the corner, except for well, your father isn't there, but both of your sisters and your mother are there. They've been huddled in the corner where they've tried to protect themselves, and the roof has come down on them.
In that case, I think he'll spend some time gathering the bones for later funeral rites.
Yeah, well, they aren't. That's the horrible part of it. They're not bones.
Oh.
They are still. They were sufficiently protected by this part of the roof that fell down that they are still in one piece, but they're badly burnt.
In that case, he'll still try to arrange them so they're easy to
Of course.
pick up and perhaps look at it a little peaceful despite being burned.
Yeah, or at least maybe cover them in something if you can find.
Yeah, I think until he goes to get them again, I think he might cover them with his cloak.
Yeah.
In that case, I think the second Ilva realizes that Rodi has left, she would know where he's headed.
Yeah.
And probably follow, because she kind of lived there too.
Yeah. Well, you find the same thing, obviously. You see it just as he pulls this piece of the roof aside. That's when you arrive.
She doesn't say anything, she just starts helping him remove the gunk on top of the family and help him take them out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's very much a silent moment.
Yeah.
She might notice that his whole body is shaking.
Yeah.
Probably from a mixture of rage and sorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just quietly helping him take them out. Place them quietly.
Yeah.
And cover them. And first then will she put a hand on his shoulder and, pull him in sideways.
Yeah.
Pull him in sideways?
Yeah, like...
Standing beside, then put a hand on the opposite shoulder and then, drag him into a sideways hug.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, like that. I was like, what, are you talking kind of Umbra-like?
Totally!
Yes.
Let's go to the Umbra! Ta-da-da!
Wrong game!
He will return the gesture.
Yeah.
And then he'll quietly suggest that perhaps they go outside again until...
Yeah.
I don't think he finishes that sentence.
And...
No, she just nods and goes with him.
That leaves Sindri. What does Sindri do?
I imagine he'll probably want to do the same, similar to Frody, see if he could find his own home, see if there's anything in there that worth taking with him, see if you can find his family. He only had a mother and father within Kubal.
Yeah.
And he knew his father was like him, was a hunter.
Yep.
So who knows where he might have been there. He might have been tried to do some fighting outside. We don't actually. But,
you find your mother is there. She's right outside the house. She hasn't died in the fire. At least she's been cut down, and from the looks of it, at least it was quick. You can't see your dad from where you're standing.
Which leads me to think, knowing you and your storytelling techniques, that I'm going to find him, or at least bits of him, later.
In the as you search through the house, you find a small carved wooden box. It's got some amber inlays. It's not that it's worth a whole lot, except again, it's a little thing from home.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 5 arrowheads in it.
Just standard arrowheads?
Just standard arrowheads.
Oh, that's good. I can certainly use those. Yeah. How big is the box?
Maybe twice the size of a box of cigarettes would be. Twice as thick.
Yeah. Will there be enough room to take the whole thing with me, or should I have to take the thing? Yeah, just take the whole thing with me.
Small object. Of course, you can take it.
Yes, it's kind of glad that it survived. Maybe depending on how good I am or how good anyone else on the crew is, I might take the amber and turn it into a pendant of some kind.
No, the amber is inlaid into the box.
Oh right, fair enough. Then just take it as it is. Just take it as it is.
So it's a small box, about the size of 2 boxes of two packs of cigarettes.
Okay, fine.
That's fine. Then it's got various inlays of some bone and some amber. Yeah.
Lovely. Sounds quite ornate.
It's not terribly well made or anything. As I said, it's not worth a whole lot, but it's sentimental value.
Exactly, that's the thing. Okay, well that's done, and then I will go back outside and.
Yeah. Well, that's roughly the time then when Baggy comes back and informs you all that yes, in fact, there are timbers outside matching what the captain said, but him and Gylfi hauling a mast between the two of them is probably stretching it.
I mean, it could be very amusing, but
not for a man who's bleeding, I don't think. I just imagine that that might be a bad idea. I don't know if Baggy, would you like to try?
I mean,
he's be right back.
Yes, I mean, what is comedy if not tragedy plus time?
Exactly.
But yes, of course, Sindri offers to help at least.
Yeah. So, how about the rest of you? You guys hear this as well, by the way.
Well, if Rodi and Ilda is back, she'll go over and help them in.
Yeah. Well, the point is they need to you need to actually carry it in from the outside. I mean, the piece of timber you use for the mast of a ship is long and it's heavy. So, yeah.
Very heavy.
I shall help too.
Yeah.
If anything, it's something to do.
Yeah. So you guys bring in the timbers that are needed, and once you have both the 2 masts and the oar timber inside, what's his face, Ormer gives some instructions to some of the crew, not including yourselves, to set them up in a specific way, and then he tells everybody else to get working on gathering your families, the dead in general, and he says, make sure to check up on the walls. Make sure to check everywhere. Nobody walks alone. Everybody goes at least in groups of 3, and you keep your arms and your shields out and ready. He says, I don't want anyone else. I don't want anyone else dead.
Well, that's a good idea to do then.
Gylfi immediately scuttles over towards Ilva like, yo, I'm here.
Over to who?
To Ilva.
Oh!
Yeah. He's somewhere in proximity, somewhere behind her, yep.
Well, she notices him immediately, then places a hand on his head and starts ruffling up his hair. You did very well!
He's like looking her over for cuts and bruises.
I imagine him trying desperately to look at her injuries and her just with her hand just brushing his head about.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, damn it, I'm no, Erba, not now.
She doesn't get what the fuck he's trying to do.
Yeah, he's probably under his breath, something like, "Are you okay? Were you wounded?"
I'm fine.
You sure?
Yep.
He squints a little bit.
You should see the other guy.
I'd rather not.
Oh, right.
You can see her wounds are completely superficial. They just need to be washed out. Basically, that's it. Clean.
He just makes mental notes to do it later.
So you go and check the whole area, I guess, or.
Yep.
Yeah. And well, again, you find people dead pretty much everywhere, and from the looks of it, it doesn't actually look like anybody really got away. It's if anybody did, it would have been pure dumb luck. The force that they have been that the castle, the force that Hyrborg was attacked with, must have been absolutely overwhelming for the people who were there. There are places where the walls are damaged. There are dead men and dead women, for that matter, dead children, dead old people, absolutely everywhere. And you get to, at one point, after you've cleaned everything or cleaned, you've found any relatives or close friends of the crew that you can find, and you've spent a couple of hours carrying everyone back to someplace central so you can do something, and that's about the time where Gylfi, you see near it's near the Great Hall. It's not the actual Great Hall. It's one of the side buildings. You see your father. He's sitting up against the wall. He is dead, but you can see him. He's sitting against the wall. He's got his weapon. He's got his shield. His shield has been split in two. And he's been pinned to the wall behind him with 4 spears.
Well, Gylfi, upon noticing, would slowly approach, look down, his expression wouldn't change. Then he just kneels in front.
Yep.
Starts pulling out the spears.
Yeah.
Slowly and he grabs his after the spears are pulled and the body is more limp. He grabs it by the collar, he would about to scream on somebody, and he shakes it a little bit. If anybody is looking, the tears start pouring down his face, and he's you were meant to be the strong one. Why did you left me here? Why did you have to send me on the ship? I was supposed to die here with you. And he just like shakes it a little bit, and then just like embraces his dad, and just starts crying.
Yep. Everybody, obviously, you can all see this happening. And while that happens, while you're holding your father in this manner, one of the others from the crew and one of the other crewmen, this man walks over to you and puts a hand on your shoulder. You know that Bjorn is old enough to have actually fought with your father for years. They've been, comrades in arms. And he looks at you and he says in a solemn, gruff kind of way, he says, You will do better than you think of yourself.
I would imagine his forehead is resting on forehead of his dad, and he's under his breath, being like I brought him nothing but shame. He sent me on the Fagerfeld just as a last ditch effort to make me a man.
And it worked. It worked. You killed a man today. We all saw you kill your first man today. You are a Southlander warrior, Gylfi. Your father would have been proud of you. And I'm sure that he is, with the powers right now, and that he is proud of you.
I think if he would, I don't know if his dad would be wearing any jewelry.
He's wearing a pendant around his neck, in the shape of a raven, or it isn't just in the shape of, it is a raven's claw, the foot of a raven, and those things are pretty rare because you're not allowed to kill a raven for obvious reasons. In the Southlands, killing a raven is a really, really, really monumentally stupid idea in an area ruled by a woman known as the Raven Lady. But if you find one dead, or a part of a dead raven, which is what happened to your dad, so he took it as a good omen and he made it into a necklace, and he's still wearing it.
Yeah, he would probably slowly either unpin it or take it over his head.
Yeah.
And take his sword. If the sword fell out of his hand, he would probably put.
Yeah, it's lying next to his hand.
Yeah, he would probably put it back in his hand and press it to his chest or something.
Yeah.
And he would turn, and he would turn. Yeah.
Bjorn is still, while you do this, he's still standing there, and he while you're working on, arranging your dad and so on, he actually crouches next to you, and he speaks in a low tone of voice now so that you're the only one who can hear it. And he says, "Listen, Gylfi, not every man in the world is meant for the same fate. Your first action after this was to look to the health of everyone on the ship. Remember what Granny said. We are all that's left of Hurborg. We cannot afford to lose people to small cuts and infected wounds. You're important. You're the person on this crew who knows the most about medicine. We need you, but we also need you to be focused. Can you do this? Not just for me or for the crew, but can you do this for your father?
He doesn't look at him, but looks at the pendant that he took off his dad.
Yeah.
It's like rolled around his face right now, and like he puts it against his mouth, and like, yes,
good.
I will try.
You will do fine, I'm sure. And if you need somebody to talk to, if you need help, you're not the first young man I've seen have trouble. You've got a good heart, and you did good today. You really did good. He pats you on the shoulder, he gets up and he walks back to the others.
He'll probably like just stand in silence, try to get somebody to help him, like move his dad wherever they move the dead.
People are basically, there are people walking around with, some blankets that you can carry the dead on, basically. Between so that some people come over and help you, and the same goes for pretty much everyone else. And by the time that you've gathered up all the dead, Ormer is he's the what is it called, the two masts and the oars. He's had that. The two masts are buried in the ground, not completely obviously, but they're stuck in the ground like almost like trees, and they're facing the main gate. And halfway up the masts, you have the four what are they called again? The four oars are they form what the hell is it called? It's like two St. Andrew's crosses across the it's basically to stiffen the to hold it firm, the construction. And
cross beams?
Yes, that would express it. I can also do something even better. I can bring you over to this, and just give me a moment here, because then I'll just make a little drawing, because you can do that. So here we go. So if you have the two cross beams like this, right? You can see those?
Yes.
Yeah. And then you got the
oars making an X.
Yeah, making like so across. So basically it's a good sturdy construction by now. And he's had that set up so that, as I said, so that it faces the gate. And then he instructs some of the crew. He says for them to start carrying the dead down to the beach, down to the ship that is still not your ship, but the one that nearly got burnt the night before. Obviously,
it got burned, just not completely.
Exactly. There's quite a lot of it still left, but it wasn't seaworthy. So he tells people to carry them down there and to bring all the rest of the timbers from the shipyard as well. And then he looks to all of you, and he looks to Ronnie and he says, as I said, I need us to leave. He says this to Ronnie, but you guys are close enough to hear it. He says, as I said, I need us to leave an absolutely unequivocal message. I don't want whoever comes back here and finds these guys to be in any kind of doubt what has just happened. And he looks at all of you and says, are any of you willing to do what it takes?
Always.
Baggy just nods.
Bind him on that, spread-eagled. Flay him and leave his intestines out. Don't let him die.
All right.
Yeah, Elva's probably going to be the one holding him down.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sindri draws his knife.
Yeah.
He's really thinking he can really do this. It's just like hunting. It's like skinning him.
Mm.
Exactly, and you know that he is going to die because the fact that you're going to be flaying him, he's going to bleed out if nothing else. But you can make it last a good long while.
Yes. Even so, Sindri is going to be repeating the same mantra in his head to try and get past the fact that he is doing this to another human being. He's trying to sort of like trying to just think of it as it is just like hunting a deer and
skinning a beast, skinning a beast, skinning a beast.
Yes, just like you were taught, just like Father showed you.
Yeah, and he does scream. It is pitiable to hear. It is a level of pain no human being should ever have to endure. And yes, he dies, no question. And he dies a lot quicker than, he's already wounded, obviously. So he does die. But it does leave an absolutely horrific picture of him being raised up there with most of his skin eventually just hanging off him in flabs, and his guts and intestines literally flopping down onto the ground. This, it is gruesome in the extreme. But it's when you guys leave the ruins behind you and walk down towards the beach, you hear the cries of ravens, and as you look up, you can see first one and then another one joins them, and as you walk down the path back down towards the beach, you realize there's a flock of ravens gathering overhead. And as you get down there, you realize that everyone else has been busy building a huge fire, a massive bonfire, and all the dead have been placed upon the remnants of the ship. They're packed fairly tightly. They have to be, but there's a lot of timber, a lot of good dry timber from the shipyard as well. So it is when the torch is put to this pyre, which is what it is, this gigantic pyre. You all realize you could not have given them, under the circumstances, this is by far the finest send-off you could have given them at all. This is a more glorious send-off than many people get, even if they have all the time in the world to get, their burials arranged for them. And as night falls, again, you've spent the whole day getting all this done, but as night falls, you stand there, all of you, the whole crew. Nobody is saying anything. just watching that quite a few people are weeping, obviously. But that's the image we're going to be stopping this hour on, and we'll be back with the final hour of the Long Voyage. And yeah, don't go anywhere.